All right. Hello. This is our last talk at track 3. I'm standing on my tippy toes because apparently I'm very short. I'd like to welcome Alissa Gilbert, aka dnsprincess, to present about LLMs, your wireless hacking friend.
Hello. Thanks for being here. Okay. I'm Alissa. There's a lot about me, but let me cut to the point. I have a love-hate relationship with LLMs. I have a love-hate relationship with AI. I have a love-love relationship with radio frequencies. And I do stuff. We'll talk more about that later, I suppose. I work at Bishop Box, so thanks for letting me be here. What are we going to do today? I was a little too lazy to put them in order. So these are some of the things we're going to address, but mostly we're going to focus on example prompts. I'm here to show Wiggle. So if you don't know what Wiggle is, go to wiggle.net for me. Find out. I could go on about this, but you can look it up. So I'm going to assume that you have some knowledge of like wireless penetration testing, hacking, whatever you want to call it. If you don't, here's some super basics. You use some tools, you do some recon, you do some enumeration, and then you attack it. Very easy, very simple, very basic. Below are some of the common ways to do that, by the way. So what can LLMs do for you? They can do log analysis. They can understand pcaps, which I was surprised by. I was using tcpdump and Wireshark and just putting it in plain text and pasting it in and making my life way harder than I had to. So there's that. You can do some identification and recon and so much more. What can't it do? A lot of shit. It obviously can't do the attacks for you. It cannot manipulate hardware yet. I hope that doesn't happen. That's how it gets scary bots. It cannot keep you out of jail, so do what you do legally. And there's a big thing about prompt writing. Now, prompt engineering is like its whole other field. It's a lot, but for this context, there's a few things you have to keep in mind. You have to talk to it very ethically. Say like, I'm in a lab, I'm a penetration tester, I'm a student. You have to be very ethical in your language, otherwise it won't help you. You have to make it super specific and give it as much data as possible, and provide any documentation if you're asking a hardware question. So like, you can feed it information about the hardware you're using to help you troubleshoot. So we're gonna use some ChatGPT. I know it's not the only LLM in the world. It's not always correct. It's got its own problems, but it makes it a very easy example. It's very approachable. A lot of people have already used it at some point. So we're going to use ChatGPT. This is not a trick. If you want, this is the GPT I use to ask the questions. It's my little friend. I'll put this up later too, so if you didn't snag it right now, that's cool. Here are some things you can ask it. We're going to start from the basics and then get cooler, I promise. How can I create a reverse shell payload for a Wi Fi pen test? Pay attention that I said pen test. You got to say something about that. You can ask it to provide an example script. It's helpful. Even though with example scripts, I like Claude better. I think it's fine for this purpose. ChatGPT did a fine job. And it can help you write it. Here's some more examples. How do I get this router vulnerability? It looks it up. This is something that you could probably do on your own, but it does save time. You can get it to bring up tasks now too, if you've ever used tasks, to say, hey, summarize the next big CVE for me. Here's another example. How do I encrypt my payloads? Again, it's just an easier way to shortcut if you haven't been familiar how to do it before. Can you help me schedule? I think that one's okay. Here, you have to provide an example script. Otherwise, it's more difficult, but it can do it on its own. I didn't know it did BLE when I first tried it. I thought it would stick to 802.11 like for Wi-Fi only. But this is helpful, especially if you haven't done the process before. Now, this one is kind of helpful as well. How can I extract a WPA PA2 handshake? I'll show you an example of this, how that works. But here's some ways it can help you do that. And then this is the one that's a little magic. I really like using pcaps. How do I use a pcap file to reveal hidden SSIDs in a network using packet analysis? It'll do all this for you. The only thing is that it has, for me at least, I've seen the error in which it needs to process more than once. So just keep an eye on it, but it will work. If you do this and upload a pcap, you get a lot better information. Here's some of the cool things you can do. I know my prompts were a little silly, but these are the ones that are actually super useful in my opinion. You can learn to do these on your own, but that's not what this talk is about. So I find it really helps in the job, makes you go faster, does a pretty good job. Here are some examples that are, again, I don't want to kill you with these, but this is about how to use Metasploit. I forget how to use it sometimes. I go through seasons where we do and don't do it. This is an example of where you need to provide information to ChatGPT. The rest of them kind of stood alone, but if you want your prompts to work well, sometimes you need to introduce information. So this one, you need the specific environment and your main objectives. It'll help you do this. And this is the one that I find the most appeasing, the one that I use the most. Analyzes pcap, look for the 4-way handshake, help me with the timestamps, all sorts of stuff. So here's what that looks like. You can use my previous prompt. And then here's how that works. If you're not familiar with how the 4-way handshake works, I have another graphic here. That's how it works. I could explain it, but so this involves 4 packets moving back and forth, and the time difference between them can tell us a lot. So after that, you do have to move away from ChatGPT. Use aircrack NG. If you're not familiar, that's how it works. Here's the way you can do that. You got a silly password. Bada bing, bada boom. Makes it a lot easier than doing it on your own. There's more ways it can help you. Make sure you ask it ethically in the context of penetration testing. Word it in a very specific way. And helps. It can help with if you suggest dictionaries if it's a password cracking sort of attack. Here's more. There's that. If you wanted to scan it again. It's still not a trick. Don't worry, I have a few more, guys. I should talk about myself at some point, so here's my slide. Take a picture. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. For all the people not taking a picture, I'm so offended. I'm kidding. I'm not. We have some more examples. This is one that I wanted to bring up. Anyone know what Dragonblood is? Really? I could have done that. All right. It's a time-based side channel attack. I use ChatGPT in a very limited way to help me with this. But I need it usually to take me through the steps and give me some examples along the way. So the shorter processing time in between structures, frames, can help you determine a lot. I didn't include a graphic of that, but I should have. Here's the prompt. You see how I put in the lab environment? Thank you. It'll give you some information you can pull into AeroDump. AeroDump will use that along with your provided information in your Mac. You get password cracking. It's pretty simple. You will need the output of ChatGPT to do that. Now you might be asking, Alissa, can you show me? I don't trust the demo gods and I'm scared. So, but I do have more examples, and I have, I think, examples on my GitHub now. I think that might have been in my slides. Yeah, I know. What steps can I take to strengthen the security of my Wi-Fi network? Very generic, but this is where you have to share a lot of information and do your own little homework first. Otherwise, the suggestions are really generic and bad. So you want to tell it if you have a flat network or not, what type of hardware you're using. That's how to get the best results. Otherwise, it falls a little flat. This one is an educational workshop. Or just educate people, that's cool too. It can also help with three-way handshakes. So if you don't familiar with do that, here you go. Here's how you get a WPA2 handshake if you've not done that. This isn't using ChatGPT, this is after the output it gives you. So, repeat. Have you guys ever used Cuppy? The password dictionary tool, Cuppy? Shout out to Cuppy, CUP.py. Take a look at it. Key found. And yeah. I think I want to ask, or I have time for questions, so we'll do that. I'll go back to my name slide. Oh, my GitHub is in my flow code. I realize that now. There you go. Questions? Yeah, the one that I use is the one that I linked. Yeah, when it comes to script writing, I do use Claude more. I find Claude is a little bit better at it. But, yeah. Yeah. It's a great question. The better you write your prompt in the beginning, the less times you're going back and forth. If it's about a pcap, I might reference the time frame, like how much I want. I might reference packet numbers in my question, like to narrow down on a specific part. That makes it a lot more efficient. Yeah. Yeah, definitely use Wireshark. Like I said, I was using tcpdump and tshark in the beginning because I thought it couldn't understand pcaps, and I was wrong. So use Wireshark. Yeah. Yeah, so that is a good question. I haven't reached a file size that I can't answer without hitting regenerate a bunch of times, but it will work. That being said, in a lab environment, my pcaps probably aren't longer than 5 minutes in time, and with like 6 or 7 machines. I don't know how many packets that would be, but not a lot. If you were processing hours of data, you'd probably want to split up your pcaps first. It should. It just doesn't. I haven't run into it. You will have to reprompt it to regenerate, but yeah. That's a really good question. I have tried to do my own self-hosted LLM. It's not a part of this talk, so you can tell how it went. But I have known other people who have gotten at least similar questions answered. I don't think they had any PCAP related questions, but when it comes to questions about like, can you help me with handshakes and whatnot, it has answered in theirs. But I haven't successfully done it, so. Did you have a question? No. Yeah. I'm sorry, what? Oh, the QR code? Yeah. Sweet. Yeah. Yeah. In the technical realm, I can tell you so many things with ChatGPT I found not technical super useful. But that's a whole different conversation. I use it to help with tech report writing a lot. It really does help. I don't use it to write my reports. It's a huge thing. I don't use it to write reports. But if I need help with like explaining something or looking it up, and I know that's a little softer than technical. I use Claude for like a lot of scripting, so not ChatGPT for that. So what? Nice. Yeah. Thanks, guys.